Hey everyone!
Hey, hello. So, one of the things that happened earlier this past weekend is that people have been complaining about Lewis's Instagramming and whatnot, and then people were like, oh, you know, whoever's been out there complaining about Lewis's Instagramming and everything else, they should leave him alone because, you know, he's a great, you know, he managed to put it on pause.
He's a genius.
Yeah, he's the voice of his generation. But
the Kanye West of F1. Brilliant.
But as we can see here from...
Oh my god! God!
Is this what they were complaining? That Lewis does too much of this stuff? Because now he's pretending to poop.
It's kind of brilliant. And I'm actually kind of surprised he's in such good spirits considering he technically lost. I mean, by definition,
he was the first of the losers.
Yeah.
This, by the way, was put on Twitter by Antonio Boselli. Ted refers to him as the Italian Ted. He works for Sky in Italy. But anyway, that's this is, for our listeners. This is I'm sure you'll find this anywhere you go on the internet right now. It's Lewis on what looks like an airplane bathroom, maybe his own.
Don't they all take a plane together? Isn't that? Do they do that?
No, well, no. Lewis owns his own private jet.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Kanye of the sky.
Yeah, exactly. So here he is making. How can we describe these noises?
Oh man, painful. Painful. Yeah, if that's how he's pooping, I feel bad for his seat.
He's punishing that toilet.
He is.
And this is how we start episode 52 of the Flat Out Fever podcast.
Boom. Real exciting times we live in. Great first race, but there's some things we should take care of first.
Well, I mean,
first of all, this is the Flat Out Fever podcast, and thank you very much for listening.
Yes.
And if you were listening last week, we announced a competition, a giveaway, an extravaganza.
This is in a first for our podcast, and to commemorate breaking the 50 episode mark.
Boom.
We are giving away tickets to the Canadian Grand Prix
in Montreal.
Yes.
That's 2 tickets, not 3 or more.
For the whole weekend, by the way.
Yeah, the whole weekend.
We're gonna be there, and now you have the chance to come and experience this as well. I honestly cannot recommend it enough. If you are
absolutely
an F1 fan and you think you like F1 enough to listen to this podcast, but haven't gone to a race yet, like, I could not recommend it enough.
Absolutely. Changed my life.
Yeah.
Javier and Danny were great enough to drag me along and show me the ropes, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was super great.
No, it's a great event, and Montreal really lights up. They really
man, isn't it great?
Yeah,
everything. There's flags everywhere, especially because like Montreal is very like European in that sense of like just how it looks, and it reminds you of like especially in old Montreal. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. But Javier, how do they win?
We're taking contest entries. Actually, we already started. So if you're listening to this right now and you have you get an idea, go. Pause this and go and enter right now. You can send your entries via by tweeting it to us via our YouTube channel, or just by emailing it to us at contest@flatoutfever.com. And now, what are these entries?
Yes. What do we do? How do we win?
We want to keep it as open as possible, because we know that there's people that are good at some things, there's people that aren't. So following the overall theme of the Canadian Grand Prix, sticking within the realm of the Canadian Grand Prix, can be Canadian Grand Prix history, Canadian Grand Prix, your own memories of the Canadian Grand Prix. Make something with it, something creative, a piece of art. If you want to just send us a gallery of pictures that you took one time and they tell a story, please do.
Absolutely.
Anything you can. A write-up. You can call us. Actually, right now, we're on Skype, and we're taking calls right now. If anybody wants to call at this moment, they're more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
You can find us on Skype by searching Flat Out Fever Podcast. Anyway, we are taking entries of any kind, a write-up, a drawing that you made.
Anything.
We are, of course, the judges for this.
Express yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we want.
You want to write a song? Write a song. You want
brilliant.
to screen print a picture of the track with something funny on it? Do it. And send us a picture of the T-shirt. Anything you have in mind. What would you do, Mike, if you were to enter this contest?
Oh man, you know what? I'd probably just enter the music video I made for last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think that would just be my entrance. It's like if you guys filmed like yourselves going there and just sort of putting it all together and showing your love for the city and for the track and for the racers.
Yeah,
that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it can be as broad or as specific as you'd like it to be. Just stick within that theme. Send us anything you'd like. Again, contest at Flat Out Fever. We're at Flat Out Fever on Twitter. On our YouTube channel, we're youtube.com/flatOutFever. Anything you want, just send it our way, and that's how you can win tickets. And again, it's 2 tickets, or actually, 2 tickets for each one of the sessions.
Right.
So you and a friend or a lover or
both,
exactly, can go, and we will be announcing the winner first week of May.
Yep.
So the contest is basically open right now till the end of March, and right at the last Tuesday of March is going to be the cutoff for the last few entries. So get going. If you need some time to make something, you have it. Just basically at this point, start sending your entries. There will be prizes for second and third place.
Yep.
So the main prize obviously is you win the tickets to the Grand Prix at around $100 and something bucks each. So that's 2 tickets.
That's value right there.
Yeah, there we go. We'll give it to you for free. But if you don't quite make it, and but you still have something to show, and we think it's good, we will be awarding prizes to second and third place, Mike.
Which are, so second place, you have one Flat Out Fever T-shirt, focusing on our very famous Gilles, the flappy head guy.
Yeah.
As well as a Bamboo T-shirt and CD from my band, Bamboo. And then third place is a Flat Out Fever T-shirt. Yeah. So good times. It should be good. Yeah. We can't wait to get your entries. So please, guys, keep sending them in. Yeah.
We will start disclosing them, in a few weeks once we get enough of them.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to start to talk about them. But anyway, yeah, can't wait to hear, read, or see what you guys send.
Yeah. Nothing too weird, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Or I don't have nightmares or anything.
Or make it super weird.
Yeah. We might be into that.
Yeah.
Or it might not be.
Yeah.
It's a fine line.
You know what I'm really into, though?
No, I don't. What?
What just happened this last
weekend? Oh, my God.
Oh, actually, like, another plug right before we jump into this. Thanks to everybody that showed up to Betty's last weekend.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah.
So we decided that we're doing one of these for all the Grand Prix this season. Last year we started doing F1 at Betty's. It was a great success. Betty's really liked it. Now we're keeping the tradition going this year, and for the Australian Grand Prix, we had a pretty good showing.
Yep.
We had fun, and great showing, great time at Betty's. If you're in Toronto or close by, you should come by. The next race at Bahrain, we're gonna do it live. And that's that. So more details on the website, flatout.fever.com. You'll look it up for F1 at Betty's. It should be there, a link. But what a race!
I'm just gonna say this. This was my favorite race ever since starting to watch Formula One.
Oh.
Not just because of what happened, because it was very exciting.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was just so happy just to see racing again with new teams, new colors, new drivers, like a new attitude. Yeah, my favorite race.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I had such a good time.
To put it in context, though, you only have been watching F1 for a year.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not saying a lot. I'm just saying it was my favorite race.
Well, no, and that has a lot of weight, man.
Yeah.
Because I think I think that's legit enough. It was a great race, all things considered.
Yeah. Those Ferraris, though.
Yeah.
What happened? Jesus, Murphy.
Thank God, though, that they actually made it all the way up there.
Yeah.
During qualifying, and that was the talk, that the Mercedes had been so far ahead than everybody else. People were basically saying, listen, all these hopes that we had for the year and all that completely thwarted. Because look at that. Look at how Mercedes are so far ahead from everybody else. But that's not what happened. And actually, in the pre-show and the qualifying pre-show, I remember they asked Maurizio Arrivabene, like, what
do you think?
And he says something to the tune of, we might not show our complete pace in qualifying, but the race, who knows? He was like, the race,
you never know.
Yeah, no, qualifying might not be our strongest suit, but the race, just wait and see. And that was awesome to see. That Ferrari was there. Like, the race was Vettel's to lose. It wasn't Mercedes to win. Any of the Mercedes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Sorry, I gotta fix something.
Oh, all good. Leading up to the race, though, the day before, obviously the talk around town was about the qualifying.
Yeah, so I didn't end up watching any of the qualifying.
Yeah.
What came out of that? I like, all I heard was like people were like really upset.
Yeah.
Like everyone was just like people leaving on Reddit. Like you saw these GIFs and videos of people just like leaving because it's just like it wasn't exciting. Nothing was happening.
Well, that's the thing. One of the worries from people up and down the paddock was that if they brought this new qualifying format, what was going to happen is that because it was so front-loaded, because it was so depending on what the performance was at the very beginning of each one of the Q1, Q2, and Q3 sessions, what we're going to see is not, and this word kept popping up, a crescendo that people wanted of the action spicing up towards the end. But what they saw was a front-loaded qualifying session, each one of them, with all the big teams coming out and doing their laps before the cutoff, whatever that one might have been, 7, 6, or 5 minutes. And then towards the end of the session, so many teams like would have already known if they were disqualified or not, and then they would have probably just stayed in and not gone out. And this massive shootout that they wanted to see at the very end between cars 1 and 2, where it wasn't just never going to happen.
Right.
That is what the engineers said.
Right.
But in practice,
oh man,
it was even worse in that direction. And remember, I was one of the ones that said, "Hey, let's give this qualifying a try.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going to happen. I guess I can see how
it could be exciting."
I could genuinely see that, but listen, we all saw what happened.
We all witnessed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
And it would have been so much worse in any of the longer races, any of the bigger circuits, like Spa. Martin Brundle was saying, what's going to happen in Spa? Because in Spa, each lap takes so much longer.
Yeah.
And the amount of time of the Q1, Q2, and Q3 cutoffs wasn't depending on the track. It was just
an arbitrary number.
A solid 5 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever. Then the people that if you wanted to go out and do a lap, you would have had to have gone out not 2 or 3 or not a minute and a half before you found out like whether or not you were going to stay on. No, you would have had to go 4 minutes or 5 minutes ahead,
right?
Which would have been the beginning of the session, and it's a mess. It would have been a big mess for no reason. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Even if it might have spiced up the action, which it could have, Like if there were red flags involved during the qualifying sessions, or if it was a rainy day or whatever, it could have really, really put people way out of position.
Absolutely.
It didn't in the dry, and we all know that most of the races and most of the qualifyings for the year are going to be in the dry.
Mm-hmm.
It is too much of a price. It would have been too much of a price to pay to stick with that qualifying for the eventual 2 or 3 races of the year when it would have made a difference.
You know what? I think the funniest thing about it is that, because I like the idea of trying new things, especially with qualifying, right? Yeah. If they want to spice up the grid, right? Because I think that was one of their, objectives in it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think what it actually did was it just gained so much attention. Like, people were just so upset, and like I think a lot of. I actually brought focus, if anything, to Formula One. They're like, "Oh my God, they changed everything, and I'm upset. Oh, I'm gonna yell on Twitter for a bit."
Yeah.
Which is okay, but it's nice to see they tried, and they're going back to the old formula, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Halfway through, I bet they were just like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah. Nobody liked it. Now that everybody saw it in front of them, you can kind of see what Bernie's position on things are going to be if you listen very carefully to what Christian Horner says. Because, again, for the millionth time, Christian Horner, if you haven't figured it out yet out there, listeners and viewers, anything that Christian Horner says, like, is a proxy for what Bernie might be thinking. Because he's in a way, Bernie's next guy. He's kind of being groomed to be the next Bernie if Bernie has something to say about that.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just going to, like, get merged with an F1 car and his mind will just be transported into cyberspace.
But he won't get it. He'll be the only robot in denial. No, but seriously, so even Christian Horner at the end was, after qualifying, was saying, listen, we have to be big enough to admit that didn't work.
Right.
That's okay. We tried it, didn't work. Let's bring it back to how.
Now, who was really pushing for this? Was it Bernie?
Niki Lauda said something very interesting on the qualifying pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
For Sky, it's that when people were asked about Orso or the race pre-show, I don't remember exactly, but basically they were in a meeting of all the big shots, and Bernie came up raving like a lunatic about reverse grids.
Right.
He wanted, what he really wanted was have the poleman start 10th and then reverse the grid that way. So not all the way down, but to 10th place.
It seems pretty loony to me.
If it would be really loony for sure. Nobody wanted that, and because there was such pushback for something like that, then Charlie Whiting, the race director, a guy that, things like unprofessional or not thinking things clearly, like they've never been associated with that guy, but he apparently was the one that said, kind of as a way to try or to find somewhere in the middle of that, he was the one that came up with this qualifying.
Wow.
Now, he's not known for getting things
pushed through,
wrong.
Oh, wrong, right?
Like this bad. He's the guy that should know better.
Yeah, right.
He's the guy. He's the guy. Like
right.
He doesn't work for Bernie or anything. He works for the FIA, and he's the guy that presses the buttons that start every race. He's the guy. He's the ultimate authority when it comes to things like rules and that kind of stuff in a race situation on the sporting side. And he came up with this. So that so then the question is, this is a guy. What worries me is that this is a guy that a lot of people trust. People not trusting Bernie, that's nothing new. Right? Like he's come up with all kinds of crazy ideas. Some of them stupid. Some of them actually worked. And when he was working together with Max Mosley in the FIA, him being the FIA president, they both came together sometimes and pushed in some ridiculous legislation at the time, but eventually it worked on whatever. But on the other side, you have Charlie Whiting that whatever he came up with had never really been questioned or had never been called like a loony idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that sense, that's why it doesn't surprise me. Knowing that doesn't surprise me. That's all the teams basically agreed for this new qualifying session. Because as a member of the F1 community, it would be hard for you to disagree with Charlie Whiting.
Right. Right. You're like, oh, no, he's got good ideas. Yeah, let's give it a shot.
He's the man, right? Yeah.
But I mean, they signed the paper, or they agreed to some degree, and they were like, this is fucking stupid at the same time.
Yeah, but maybe
everyone was upset.
Maybe they were like, oh, maybe Charlie knows something that we don't.
Right. I mean, we were upset.
Yeah. But look at what happened, man. It didn't end up working that way. Even when these guys that are supposed to know better,
right?
Because they can still make mistakes. That's the point, man.
Yeah.
Right now, like they're pulling at straws right now to try and like fix whatever their idea of what the sport should be.
Right.
Without really considering that maybe that's not what the problem is.
Oh, absolutely. Right, because, I mean, pole position doesn't even guarantee you, like, a top spot. Well, I mean, it does to a certain degree, but as we can tell from the Australian Grand Prix...
It's not a guaranteed win.
It's not a guaranteed win. I mean, how fast did Lewis Hamilton just somehow find himself in 7th after, like, the first, like, or second corner?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think if the idea was to shake up the grid, right... I mean, they got people upset, but I don't think that he actually did shake up the grid at all. Like, what, 2 Mercedes at the top, followed by 2 Red Bulls, and what was...
Or the Ferraris.
Sorry, the Ferraris.
Yeah. It didn't pan out.
Yeah.
It didn't do what it was supposed to do. I'm glad that they are actually admitting... Well, I think they have no choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have no choice but to admit that they got it wrong.
Yeah.
And all right, you know what? Let's go back to the table. And let's maybe come up with something better.
Is that what you're thinking? Like, are you thinking like they're going to take another stab at this?
Not for this year, not anymore. No.
Are they that burnt from the retaliation?
Oh, I think they would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think at this point, like if somebody comes up with a crazy idea right now, and tries to instill it halfway through the year, it's not going to go.
Now you for qualifying, you start in the pits, right? Is that what happens? When you start?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's there. So the pit lane light goes green, and that's when each session starts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Which means that for a lap to count in qualifying, you have to do your out lap, which doesn't count. So the lap where you're leaving the pits, and then your time lap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because like I always thought it would be like an interesting idea to have something to the effect of like whatever. Like almost like that, have that reverse grid also, but do something, say, like, depending on your previous race, right, and how you play. So, like, say you got in first, right, it would almost be like another race, essentially, for qualifying. And you would start in the middle of the grid for qualifying. Like, you would start on a grid, not from the pits.
Yeah.
And then work your way up doing something kind of cool like that. Because then that's exciting. And then you don't have any of this cutoff stuff, right? You just keep on doing it.
Actually,
does that sound ridiculous?
No. Actually, F1 had a thing even before where like this qualifying format right now that we have, it hasn't been the qualifying format forever. Like there's been many changes throughout the history of the sport. It is the one that's been around for the last few years.
Really?
This one, but it's not by any means been around for decades.
Right.
Like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, there were different qualifying formats, and at one point they did have qualifying races.
Oh, see, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, what was the previous method?
At this point, I don't remember actually exactly.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up, but it was qualifying right the way that it is right now, and that's why a lot of people were complaining about the change, is that we had gotten after experimenting with so many different formats, they thought that they had arrived at something that was quite good.
Right.
Like after experimenting with like
perfected this.
Yeah, with longer sessions and things like qualifying races, because a qualifying race the danger with looking at things like qualifying races is that back then when those things were around, like we had other things that came with it, such as a qualifying engine. So right, like and there were actually like there were things like that, like, or a qualifying car. Even there were cars, like the same team would have a car spec specifically for qualifying. Like they change all kinds of things, trim it down, and then at the end of qualifying they'd completely tear it apart and rebuild it again into the race car, right? So that used to happen. So that's why it's kind of hard also in that perspective to compare how the format was back then,
right?
Because the way that we arrived to the format that it is now is only like it also came with added rules such as parc ferme, meaning you can't touch your car in between qualifying and the race. That is a rule that had to be instituted. Like don't forget that because of that, because teams would have the car built for qualifying and then they rebuild it again for the race. Like with a bigger gas tank, all this kind of stuff that used to happen, and then they change all that and looking to save costs, and that one measure actually did and has saved a lot of money for all the teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having the same car do qualifying in the race. But yeah, that's just the way that this sport has evolved. Basically, people thought that they had a ride finally to a good qualifying, and that's why people were all up in arms. They said, "Listen, we thought that we had something good here. The qualifying was not the problem."
Yeah,
and in a sense, it's true. Like qualifying the way it was last year, or up until I guess it is the format now again. But even last year, some of the most boring races still had some action in qualifying.
Yeah.
And I even remember, like, when I first started watching F1 and my girlfriend would watch some of it with me. Like, I remember, like, she could sit down and actually watch a full qualifying session because it was, like, such quick fire action and, like, it was easy to see what was going on. And it's just 1 hour and all that. So there are some merits to the way that qualifying was and is, again, going to continue being. Except for the 2016 Australian Grand Prix. How funny is that? Like
a day that will live in infamy.
it is. In a way, it is.
Yeah.
March 19, 2016. The one day we tried that one crazy qualifying.
Yeah, remember when we did that? Yeah. Ooh. Damn.
Remember the 19th of March. Doesn't quite rhyme. But anyway, all of that is done.
Yeah,
I'm glad that we moved on from that. Let's start to focus on what is really important, and really like these decision makers, and everybody should be pushing them to start to focus on what really, really, really needs to be fixing, which is things like money distribution, things like making sure that if a new team comes into F1, they can be competitive,
right?
And assuring that F1 is sustainable. That's got to be the key word. Sustainability.
Right.
And that they're looking towards the fans.
Right.
And I have something on that a little later on, but right now.
Right. Sorry, I got one last point on that topic, which is what I hope that the sport sort of takes away from this is that this comes from you and your sort of a lot of your views is like F1 should be okay with trying new things.
Yeah.
And including the fans, including the racers, including the developers, including everyone. It's like I think they need to absolutely try new things and not blow it out of proportion, not get crazy about it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
Right. And not just like, I mean, they had it right. Like, it didn't work. Go back to the old system.
Yeah.
Cool. But that shouldn't stop them from trying new things, because that's how they're going to evolve quicker and for the better. And I think that's my takeaway from this whole situation is probably that. I think they just need to be okay with trying new things.
Oh, absolutely.
And not being bitches about it. Sorry, but a lot of them were just like, it's awful. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to the sport. Yeah. Like, and I'm not being like an idiot or like an asshole. It's like people were saying that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, people were saying that.
They're like, it's the worst. Oh my god.
I'm stopping watching F1 forever now. Yeah.
It's like as if like basketball changed like it to basket cube, they changed the shape of the ball, just to switch it up. But but yeah, so that's my little take on it.
No, and it's true. There should be a framework, and honestly, I wanna get back to that point a little later on after we talk about the race, because the race was exciting, and let's get into that. But we'll get back to what I think on that. But for now, the race.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Cool.
Like how good was it?
Cool.
That was a great race.
So many things happened. And in such in interesting ways too, like obviously Alonso's crash, but like how the Ferraris took off in the beginning.
Oh man!
Or even how like Alonso's I don't want to jump there yet, but how Alonso's crash sort of affected Mercedes with their pitting, right?
Yeah.
Because essentially they kind of lost efficiency because Lewis Hamilton pitted before the red flag went up.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck, and not that he didn't do good, but I mean, like, given another few laps, the Ferrari was going to overtake, and if Vettel didn't mess up on that corner.
And, things like red flags and safety cars are things that can definitely spice up the race like that.
Absolutely.
Which is super cool that happened. It didn't work out for Ferrari at all.
No.
Because they basically, and I remember watching it and thinking, looking at, like, we were at Betty, so I just looked up at somebody and I was like, oh, look, this race, like, Vettel's got it. Like,
he's got it.
Yeah. Well, the Mercedes, up until lap 18 or something, that accident happened, or 17, whatever it was, up until that point, it looked like the Mercedes were so far out of reach. Vettel was clocking fastest lap after fastest lap, and he had it, man.
Yeah.
He had that was the race that Ferrari lost on strategy alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was the start of many new things, and honestly, I think that it couldn't have been better. It couldn't be better for the sport, because all of the bullshit and all of the bad talking and whatever,
the
drama and ridiculous shit that happened before was completely forgotten after that amazing race. Like, it was like everybody was like, yeah.
Well, I mean, also because Alonso just, I don't know what happened to him, but he just walked away from that train wreck.
Yeah.
That car wreck, if you will.
It was that
and he
kind
just,
of a wreck.
Got out and he was fine. It was insane.
And it showed everybody that, listen, maybe this conversation nonsense about the halos and the safety in F1 is not the priority right now.
Right.
Listen, the guys are fine. Look at that accident, man. That accident was so messed up. Let's go back. Let's go right to that accident right now. I have here you go. Let me just here I'll go. It's in the book right now. But this is one of, like, the pictures that definitely came out and made a big impact.
Man, that's a heavy picture.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Alonso getting out of his car. But here's the thing, and this is what a lot of people were pointing out. If these cars, if this had been after the stupid halo or whatever was introduced, the halo would be around here somewhere. Top of Alonso's picture. Oh, by the way, to the listeners, this is the picture of Alonso sitting, like, just haven't gotten out of his car after it hit the wall. But would he have been able to get out this easily out of the car if the car had a halo? Not sure if that's the case.
Right, but that's also saying, like, sometimes not wearing a seatbelt will save your life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I guess so, yeah.
Right? Because, like, I remember watching that crash, like, and they went over replay.
Yeah.
And, like, there was a hand of God in that fucking crash. Obviously. Let's not kid ourselves. Like, had that sort of spun in another way where it landed top down, crushed. Like I'm not sure if the halo would have saved him, but it could have. But like you just never know with these big crashes. And like I do think you're right. Like these don't happen very often. Like when was the last time a crash like this happened in Formula One?
Like, not like this big. But
Yeah. Years maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's been deadly crashes,
Right.
with Jules Bianchi, but it wasn't this kind of a crash. I think that like the most this kind of a crash that's happened was another time when Belgium 2012 Alonso was also involved in that, but it wasn't his fault at all. Now actually what's another interesting topic on this, now that we're on it, is the blame of this accident. I think a lot of people.
Yeah, let's talk about it because I don't really understand it. Like I heard people talk about it, and like we kind of discussed it a little bit, but and you were sort of enlightening me on how because I was like when I looked at it, I was like, no, Alonso hit who was it?
That was Gutierrez.
Okay, he hit Gutierrez, right?
Yeah.
But you were saying because he's a veteran, right? His style, like it depends on what the race officials, who was it?
The marshals and
what they sort of decide on.
Yeah, it's in between the marshals, but the stewards are the ones that would have made the decision.
Sorry, I'm butchering your explanation, so you might as well just take it.
Well, no, what I was kind of just trying to
understand the crash.
Well, understand the crash and listening to Martin Brundle and the F1 pundits of old talking about this. It said that they were like, it was as if almost they were skirting around just putting the blame completely on Alonso.
They were skirting around that.
Yeah, they were kind of skirting around that. And because if you just look at it, you would see it was Alonso drove right into Gutierrez.
Oh, here. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have it here.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me. So we got on the screen here. Yeah, this is pretty insane. Sorry, we'll start from the beginning here. Sorry, guys. We're
So there we go.
Boom.
And Alonso turns in.
Yeah.
Way too hard.
Yeah, look at this flip here. Yeah. Like right here, had that fallen down onto it, you could have died there. Crushed his head. Yeah, he did. The slow-mo actually says it a bit more, I think.
Yeah.
It sucks that it had to happen to the Haas, though. The Haas.
The Haas.
The Haas.
That Haas was taken out of the equation for the rest of that race. For sure. Yeah, look at that again. Gutierrez done. He's out. But Alonso now. Look at him go. It was he. That is out of the question. It was Alonso who hit Gutierrez. That is, there is nothing else to be said about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can that be considered a race incident? Is the next question.
What is that? What is the definition of that?
It's an accident that would have happened to anybody, if, like, in a normal racing condition.
Right. Okay.
So it could have been like. There's a difference in between, like, and obviously this is all up to the stewards, right, and the marshals and what they saw, but it's not a race incident when it's clearly like one way or the other. It was clearly driver error.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just definitely this person shouldn't be driving these cars at this level. Like, kind of Maldonado type of stuff.
Yeah.
When he just would crash into people needlessly. That would be definitely driver error.
Yeah.
Or, so when it's not definitely driver error, or when it's not definitely breaking one of the rules or something like that, because there's accidents that happen because people break the rules.
Right.
Either push somebody like way off the track or whatever. Mm-hmm. So if it was within the rules what just happened, and if it's not clearly driver error, then the people that know about this, and the stewards are the overall race steward is a previous driver at the most competitive level. They'll look at the incident, they'll analyze it, and they'll say, listen, the way that Alonso was approaching the corner, under a normal race situation, what would have happened is that the previous or that Gutierrez should have turned in to look for the line, this and that. But to me, all of that, honestly, to me, it looks like there's too much of a gray line. Alonso was definitely the one that if there was a culprit, if this was not just a race incident, the person that would be to blame would be Alonso. And I think it's a call. It's a very tough call, and the people that have seen Fernando Alonso race over the years, if they're into the sport and if they know enough about driving, they would say they would be very hesitant to say, because this is Fernando Alonso, or like that it was his fault. You know what I mean? Like they would be. It would be very easy to say, you know what, this happened. Alonso hit him, but it's Fernando Alonso, so maybe he had a reason for doing that. It's weird how that works, but
hold on. I want to see if we can show something.
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask you first though.
Yeah, it's got to do with the.
Can we show this?
I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But okay, maybe we can just talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're just sort of going through the. Definitely turned. He was trying to He was trying to overpass him, right?
Right. Now, he was expecting. So the pundits and people around the F1 circles have said that Alonso would have been excused for thinking that Gutierrez was planning to make that right, and in the race, like in the post show after the race, if you looked in the Sky after show, they did show how very, very briefly Gutierrez did.
You can see he turned into it a bit.
Yeah, he did turn into him the slightest little bit, and that
there it is.
Through Alonso. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you must have seen him. You must have seen him coming, trying to overtake him. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, we can't show this, but because we'll get
his steering wheel
by YouTube.
His steering wheel did definitely do one of these.
Yeah.
It was an accident though. That I guess what I was trying to drive at is that it's Alonso, therefore he gets no penalty.
Right.
Because he might think or two because he's Alonso.
Yeah.
If that had been Pastor Maldonado that had done that in the exact same circumstances, Maldonado would have gotten a penalty.
Yeah. But he also has a history of crashing into people.
Yeah. This, for Alonso to originate an incident like this, is almost unheard of. And because of that, whether he actually gets a pass or not, whether he actually made a mistake, which is very hard to tell from that. And from all the evidence that we have, it's very hard to tell whether that was an actual mistake.
Yeah, yeah.
But whether he did or not, the truth is that we won't find out. Only Alonso knows whether he actually overstepped his boundaries in that line. I'm an Alonso fan.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that is what happened.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, that's an accident that he probably should have avoided.
Right.
He probably with the whole melee of the situation and McLaren where they were and trying to get these valuable points, and he had been doing very well. He had beaten Jensen in all the qualifyings. He beat Jensen in just raw pace. Like this year, it was he would have beaten Jensen a lot. Was Fernando Alonso maybe trying a bit too far to push the envelope? Maybe. But is that the reason why we like him? Maybe.
Now, would they ever come to a decision that this was both the drivers' faults after sort of looking through it?
Well, the official decision has already been made.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which was?
No decision. That means it was a racing incident.
Oh.
What happened?
Wow.
What happened, and this is punishment enough for Alonso, for example.
Well, Alonso and then also McLaren, right?
Yeah.
Honda.
Yeah, Honda. And if it was maybe a little bit the other guy, he also got taken out.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Punishment enough for him.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that we call a racing incident. Officially, it's a racing incident. Unofficially, I don't know. Para-officially, there's this guy dumping pieces of the McLaren like it was just garbage onto a pile.
Yeah, how many little bits do you think he just pocketed after that?
Yeah, I have no idea.
5, 6?
This pile here is probably worth like 30 or 40 grand. Seriously though,
there's nothing to get back from this car. Huh? It's just totally like everything's sort of wrecked.
Yeah, that's these carbon fiber pieces. Like you can't really do anything with them once they've been melted.
Well, what about the engine itself?
The engine is wrecked too. Apparently, that's
really?
what Alonso said. That engine is gone. The chassis is gone. There's like if they wanted to like.
Oh, I wonder what happened to the Twitter account for the engine.
For the engines. I don't think they did that again this year.
Oh, really?
They heard us. They heard us making fun of that. Everybody was making fun of that stupid engine Twitter thing. Fuck.
I thought it was kind of cute and like very Japanesey.
They will take the main part of the chassis, and obviously, all of this is still owned by Honda or by McLaren. So if they wanted to come by and pick through that and whatever, like they could do it. They could take it home, but they will most likely just take the main part of the car, like the main part of the chassis home. See what they can scavenge from that, but most of it will be gone, man. It's like everything, even the stuff that doesn't belong to them, like that. The FOM cameras, like that were attached to the car, especially this one up here. Yeah, that's gone.
Yeah,
you know, they're not gonna give it.
Oh, back. They still have the accounts.
Oh, they do.
PU14.
Yeah,
and then PU22 or something like that.
Yeah. What did PU14 say?
Or is that Alonso's car? Yeah. Or Alonso's engine?
14 is Alonso's number.
Oh wow. Okay, hold on. Let me check. I don't think anything like.
They haven't touched those accounts since last year.
No. There's updates. So good to hear at Alonso official is all okay. That was a big one. Back to the engineers for some mechanical love for me. You're not the same engine. You're a new engine.
Yeah.
Stop it. You're gone.
Yeah, you guys, it's done.
We need a new engine.
You're sitting in a scrapyard in Melbourne. Oh god. Okay, so they're still doing that silly thing. Yeah. That's hilarious.
15,000 followers.
Okay. So that's my thoughts on the Alonso accident. I really think it's a tough call. It must be a tough call. It's one of those situations for sure. It is.
Yeah.
That if it hadn't been Alonso, if it had been somebody else.
Yeah.
They would have looked at it a little more in detail, but to be honest, this like just being out of the points is penalty enough, so they left it that way. Yeah. That's why. What mess did it cause though? That was awesome,
right? And then it changed the rest of the race. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
As we said before, like it screwed over Mercedes, and then I don't know what happened with Ferrari.
No, it screwed over Ferrari even more than Mercedes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
This race also saw the introduction of the driver of the race.
Driver of the race?
Driver of the race, yeah. Or driver of the day, driver.
Oh, really? I didn't even... When did they announce that?
Okay, so they announced this earlier in the year when they wanted to just introduce new changes to F1.
Yeah.
So, actually, they announced this kind of sort of when they were announcing the new qualifying session.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, the new qualifying format. They said that to involve people more into the sport, they were going to introduce this concept of driver of the race, where you could vote for who was your favorite driver.
I think I heard something of this on Reddit, actually. Yeah, I heard about that.
So the thing about it is that I guess not a lot of people voted. Period. Right. Like not a lot of people take care of or take part in these surveys, and it wasn't like the thing that Formula E is doing, because Formula E has a big like chunk of social media participation embedded into the sport.
Right.
But it actually makes a difference. Like, so you can award drivers like a little extra boost just from retweeting their name or whatever.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's called fan boost. Yeah, this happens. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what a time to be alive.
Oh, right. It's so you vote by retweeting, or you vote on the website or something, and whoever gets the most votes from the fans, they get the fan boost, and that means like 5 seconds of extra, just like actual boost.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, part of me is like, fuck yeah. The other part's like,
fuck no.
No way. Oh man, I think it's clever. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a clever idea, but at the same time, it feels so fucking arbitrary.
Yeah, it's too artificial.
Yeah, it's too artificial. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But they do that in Formula E,
Yeah.
and that gets a lot of, or the people that do watch Formula E or whatever.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you. But they get a chance to vote, and like it's incredibly popular. They get lots of votes and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not that. This is driver of the race. It's almost a meaningless title.
Right.
That does nothing. Now listen, you heard about this kid that we've been talking about for a while. Rio Haryanto.
Oh yeah.
First Muslim driver in modern F1. He is from Indonesia, one of the most populous countries in the world. So what happened is that his voters, like probably like everybody and their mother that had internet in Indonesia, started voting, and he actually made it. He was, for a little bit, if he had been counted on votes alone, he would have won driver of the race. Even though he didn't even finish the race. He didn't even do anything. He got overtaken hard by his teammate. It was funny, but because that's the thing, man. Like they went about this, and then
the
again,
wrong way.
This is again the FOM, Formula One.
You gotta understand these kids with their internet.
Yeah, so we're gonna
make
4chan. What can we do? Let's put a poll online. Oh yeah, okay. And they did it, and it didn't work, and it didn't bring the result that they wanted because of how they did it. Because exactly like you said, they just don't. They don't
understand
get it.
Yeah,
they don't understand it. They don't get it, and it's that kind of reminded me of this thing that happened recently, where the UK they posted this contest on the internet for people to cast their votes and put in their suggestions to rename a Polar Explorer boat.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, and the name that made it to the top of the list was Bodie McBoatface. Or whatever. I'm like
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah, and it was basically gonna win the contest just because they opened it. You can't open something like this to the internet with just indiscriminate voters. Yeah. Because people are gonna do ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
And if they can get away with it, they will rally up some people and
I don't think there's anything wrong with that name.
Right.
I think it's Bodie McBoatface. Brilliant.
I'd like to see Her Majesty's because they have HMS, Her Majesty's ship, Bodie McBoatface. Right. So, the same thing happened here, and the people of Indonesia and some funny trolls on the internet, I'm sure, voted Rio Haryanto, and he was winning driver of the race.
No way.
Until FOM, so FOM obviously took a hold of the survey and decided that some votes didn't count, and of course, and the driver of the race is now what's his name? Sorry, I have it right here, Grosjean. And actually, there's go here. There's a picture of him right now in the book, second page.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I mean, in the end, there he is, smiling, celebrating with some GH Bums brand champagne. Yeah, there he is. He's happy, and he was. I don't know if you remember during the race, but his radio message was basically like, "This is a win." Like, well,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like
this is a win.
This is a win for us. Thank you so much. Because what he did was actually quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So when they came into the pits because there was a red flag.
Yeah.
That's the only time he changed his tires. That's how they won.
Get out.
Yeah. Because that doesn't actually count as a pit stop.
Right.
Because it wasn't. It just stopped in the garage.
And they're allowed to change tires during red flag?
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They're allowed to work as much as they can on it.
Yeah.
Just if they're caught out and the red flag or they remove the red flag and they're still working on the car, they can't go back to their position. So that's how they would lose. That's how they would get penalized.
Right.
But as long as they're in the garage, they can do whatever they want. They could.
Oh,
so they changed his tires then, but that doesn't actually count as an actual pit stop.
So they didn't actually pit.
They actually didn't pit. They went the entire race distance and got some points for finishing 6th.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Without actually making an official pit stop. The whole team, because his teammate, Rio Haryanto,
right,
he didn't finish his because
he crashed.
Jesus. Yeah, his teammate is Esteban Gutierrez. He crashed with Alonso. Yeah.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Yes.
Sorry, just to go back to that
poll
thing that we were talking about, not the grid stuff, but the online poll stuff.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see some sort of alternate point system based on a driver's performance, so takeovers, how they drove, all these sort of factors.
Yeah.
And then have that as your scoring point, and then you can the amount of votes goes into whatever. It's not just based on popularity,
right,
or whatever the internet finds hilarious at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it factors into that equation.
Right.
And that'd be a very cool way to go about it, instead of just we'll just throw up a poll and see what people do. It's then you get Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah.
Which I fucking love. However, not all boats should be, Bodie McBoat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As much as I want that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want that.
there should be. I mean, that would be a cool way to do it. For sure, it gives some sort of multiplier.
Yeah.
For how well you actually did in the race.
Now, do you think there'd be enough? No, I'm not trying to do their job for them, but would there be enough things about a race that could be sort of put into this equation?
Oh, absolutely. Even you've already mentioned some of them, but for example, number of overtakes could be one.
Fastest pit.
Fastest pit is definitely another measurable one that is already out there. Number of positions, total net positions gained from the beginning of the race to the last of the race. That's another big one. There's some weight could be added to that. Fastest lap, fastest sector 1, sector 2, or sector 3. You could go deep into this.
Guys. We're doing the work for you.
Yeah. Do you need us to spell it out? We'll do a little claymation video of it. Jesus.
Gee, come on, guys. Come on. We're doing this for free.
Yeah.
You guys get paid millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. You know what was cool though about the race too? I mean, clearly this was some of the main stuff that happened. The Alonso thing. Nico Rosberg. At one point, he was winning the race, and even Ted had to point it out. I don't know if you remember during the race, but at one point he was he said something else, if you haven't noticed, Nico Rosberg is winning this race now, because Vettel was ahead of him, but Vettel still had to pit, so it was clear Nico Rosberg from lap, I think it was 30 something, he was winning the race. So he won nothing, and he won fair and square. He actually drove a good race. He managed to stay away from the problems. He had a good start, whereas Lewis didn't, etc., etc. The Ferrari fucked up. That was to his benefit, and yeah, you know what? He won like the winner of the race, which he was. But the battle at the front was only part of the story, and it was it was like, the thing that like everything to do with Vettel and his challenge, and we're all very happy. I mean, the Ferrari engine clearly still has some reliability issues. Not that Kimi Raikkonen gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Right, like,
well, whatever.
Fire? There's fire.
Is there? Oh man, I'm a little warm. You guys warm?
Get out and start walking nonchalantly.
Just didn't give a shit.
Like, there's fire here. As soon as
so what happened to his car?
Ferrari won't say exactly, but they said that maybe like one of the tubes that was carrying some fluid must have spilled, but it was a problem. They're quick to point out it was a problem with the air box, not with the engine.
Right. I mean, this is what they say, right?
Yeah. But
that's interesting.
During testing, we saw that the Ferrari engine was maybe unreliable sometimes, but when it did perform, it was up there with the Mercedes, and that's what happened during the race. That's awesome to see, because if Ferrari can get through the reliability woes, if at least one of them can get through the reliability woes, they'll be up there spicing the race for us at the top. But not like we're gonna need it, because right after that, from the top 4 positions onward, everything was a shit show. Everything was a mess. Everything was great. Right. There were great battles right up and down. The Toro Rosso that started so high. Remember Toro Rosso so high? 18-year-old Max Verstappen so high. He started up so high, and he finished so low because of his petulance and youthful enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, there was the 2 Toro Rossos behind the Williams.
Well, at one point, but then they ended up way down there near the 10th position or around there, because they kept fighting, and Max Verstappen really showed his age. Yeah. Like asking remember, like he kept going on the radio being like, tell this guy to move. Like, what can we do here? Great stuff. Like, just up and down. Like, I'm sure.
That's exciting stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you remember, man. Like, there wasn't even a single moment, like, for more than a couple minutes when when something wasn't happening. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
that from end to end, that was a very, very exciting race. Sorry, I just to touch back on Rosberg. Sort of being in first. How not interesting is Nico Rosberg? Like, he's just so like he just comes in, does what he does. I get it. He's German. I get it. So is Vettel, but Vettel's fucking awesome. Yeah. Like, you just see the guy, you're like, oh man, you're just kind of a cool dude. Yeah. Like, and when he crashes, like, I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah. And like,
true.
And the way that, like, say, like, if Lewis Hamilton was sort of in first, but imagine they had sort of switched spots. Yeah. And how the guys would have sort of reacted, how the guys not recording. What am I talking about? How they would have reacted if Lewis had
the commentators.
The commentators. Like, it would have been a much different sort of story. Oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And when he's in first and he's just flying around, it's not really exciting. You know, the fact is exciting, right? He's in first place. That's exciting. Right. But you know what else is actually really exciting? Overtakes in the middle of the pack. Oh, okay. Like, that's way more exciting. Right. And so sometimes when they say, like, and you pointed this out to me all the time, which is, you're in first place, so you get all the nice advertisement, you get the top things, but that's not even really true, right? Yeah. I mean, the majority of the race, they're not focused unless it's like a battle between 2 up front. Yeah. Usually it's not, unless it's the 2 Mercedes. It's the mid pack. It's the midfield, right? It's those guys.
And the midfield this year, and just from the way it looked like in Australia, it's going to be intense. It's going to be some great battles, some great stuff to look forward to for the rest of the year there as well. Mm-hmm. You know who was impressive, like, towards the end of the midfield too? Mm-hmm. The 2 Renaults.
Oh man, that yellow!
And not only like because of the way they look. Pull it up that picture. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, the yellow Renault.
Oh man. Oh god, I just want this. I just want this thing.
And they like, if you notice, they're using that matte paint too.
Yeah.
The one that Red Bull gets all the attention for using. The thing is that their car is in black, so you don't see it the same way. But that is the matte paint. Not in all of the car for sure, but definitely towards the back here. Definitely, like, all of that is a matte paint.
Yeah.
Right?
It's black. I don't even know what kind of yellow it is because it's not like, and it's not like a banana yellow, right?
No,
it's a little deeper, right? It's almost a little orange.
Yeah.
But that mixed with the black, I fucking love it, man.
Yeah,
I think it's so great.
That is a cool. It doesn't look like a police tape. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not
don't
that.
Come here.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. That's a really attractive car. I really like it. I mean, there's elements in it that still kind of call back to last year's car.
The Lotus.
The Lotus, like this air intake here.
I was gonna say this thing looks crazy here.
Yeah, I think Lotus. I mean, they've got the livery. They've got, like, clearly this is what they've defined that's going to be their color scheme for the years to come. I think this is going to be good. I think this year they saved a lot of tokens and a lot of stuff. I think they're going to come towards the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Their car is going to look very different from this because I think so. Yeah,
like the color scheme? No.
None of the color scheme,
but like just in little terms details of design.
Yes.
Yeah.
The actual body work of the car is going to look really different, and I think this car is just going to start looking more and more badass. And next year we're going to see a really cool car coming from the ASTON team from Renault.
That's cool. Something I'm noticing here is like this right here.
Yeah.
Looks very maybe it's just sort of how all the F1 cars are, but like compared to something like here, it's nice soft edges. This is hard, right? This is like a right angle here.
Kind of boxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that because they have to?
Yeah,
like
a lot of the
cars. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the when you can pretty much, if you see something on one F1 car that is very similar to all the other F1 cars,
that's it. That's shape.
Yeah, it's probably there for a reason, and that reason is legislation.
Right.
You know, it's been decided that it has to be like that. So yes, if you look at the rules, like, they actually like define this square section and they give all the dimensions that they have to keep within.
Wow.
For this square section where the driver is, and these
so
things
funny.
on either side, they're defined by law. This part here of the wing, so that So to answer your question, yes, that part of of the car,
wow,
that because it's defined by the laws or by the FIA regulations, then that's why it looks so similar in all of them. If not, if it wasn't there, you better believe that that most of the cars, or at least the top teams, would try to find a way to create some aerodynamic advantage.
Right, because it seems maybe I don't know my aerodynamics at all, but this doesn't seem as nearly as, let's say, fun, as these side bits here.
Oh, those curves are so attractive. They're so cool, right? They're so cool to see, like when the car curves out like that. For sure. This car, though, like I said, it still has a lot of development to come, and I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, this year they're probably going to be mostly around there, fighting for the lowest of the points positions. They didn't get any points positions, but
that was also, for example, like a very interesting race. In terms of, like, it wasn't straightforward. I don't think every race is going to be like that this year.
No, and we can't be like expecting all the races to be like that.
I mean, we should.
They all should be like that, but chances are in 2 weeks Bahrain is not going to be as fun as this one because because of the track, and it's not going to be the weather conditions aren't going to be too changing. It's always going to be dry and whatever.
Right.
Anyway, but we can still look forward to, like, just from looking at how tight the mid section is, and the fact that Ferrari's catching up, we can look forward to a great 2016. Didn't we call this? Didn't we say, weren't we being all excited about how all of this could happen, and everything looked like the pieces looked in place for it to be like this?
Yeah.
So it's
well, you guys had such a better idea of exactly how things were going to, considering, I mean, from last year when I started to watch the sport, you guys already had like a good idea of what was going to happen for that year, right? Because you're like, it's probably going to be Mercedes are going to be up top, Ferrari's probably as well. Like the midfield, the midfield is sort of like an up for grabs. Like you just never know really where it's going to go. But you can already tell who's going to be on top,
right?
But no one sort of you guys didn't expect Honda to be so low, right? Or have such awful engine problems. I mean, you picked him in the fantasy league. You picked Alonso in fantasy league.
That was an emotional pick. I must say that. This guy though, Julian Palmer. I wasn't too excited about it's him and Rio Haryanto. That are the rookies in F1 this year. Rio Haryanto, not expecting much from him. This guy, I knew that he's GP2 champion, former GP2 champion, and he had done some good stuff. But this race, qualifying on ahead of Magnussen and beating Magnussen in the race, really shows that. I'm not gonna say he's the real deal, but that's a competent driver that will probably have a long career in Formula One. I'm not gonna say he's gonna win a championship. I'm not ready to say that yet. He's listen, you can see that with Max Verstappen. Maybe Max Verstappen might, if given the right car and if they manage to curb his enthusiasm a little bit, they might get him to win a championship.
Yeah.
I don't know if Julian Palmer has that, but he's gonna be a fixture in the F1 paddock for the next few years. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Cool.
Yeah, good for him for getting in there. Other than that, I mean, just the rest of the race till the last minute, man, it was great. It had that crescendo. It had that great element of who knows what's gonna happen. Like we didn't know. We really didn't know. Anything could have happened towards the end. I mean, Vettel did slide. Vettel made a mistake, back in the day.
Yeah.
Vettel was the kid that didn't make any mistakes. So overall, really, really cool. Really looking forward to more of this for the rest of the year. I don't know about you, but I definitely am.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it should and it has to be like this. Yeah. And it's good because essentially what the Sunday did was dispel all the doubts for the people that had any when it comes to Formula One. There is a future and there is a place for F1 that is definitely without a doubt, despite all this mess that's happening around.
Yeah.
And I started thinking and listen, this is, we have people like Charlie Whiting now coming up with rules that don't make sense, like the new qualifying format.
Yeah.
We have people like Bernie like spewing all kinds of lunacy. Yeah. Every time they get a chance just to get either media attention or who knows. We've been told that he basically conducts his business through the media, or that is just something that, that's one thing that he does. And we have the FIA completely absent, really not taking an active part in all this. Now, when they really should be needed the most, when there should be a strong hand from the FIA, and that's why some people, have started to miss the way that Max Mosley used to do things, because he'd do sometimes very unilateral shit, and he just say, "All right, this is gonna be how it is.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, leave." and he'd pass these regulations through, and things would actually get done. Things like Parc Fermé, what we talked about, the qualifying cars had to be the same as the race cars, things like that, to make that kind of radical changes to F1 that perhaps are needed right now. You don't need a committee. You might you just need.
You just need to do it.
Well, listen, you need the the people, the institutions that exist right now that were put in a position in the past to do a job, need to do the job that they're there to do. They don't need to mess around with all this politics games and all the bullshit. They just need to do the job that they're supposed to do.
Right.
And the FIA, for example, needs to change the way it's letting F1 make the rules, because the FIA is not making the rules anymore. Mm-hmm. What they basically agreed with, the Jean Todt agreed with the teams and Bernie, was basically, give me a big chunk of money and I will basically stay out of the way. We'll let you guys make the rules with this strategy group, the F1 Commission and everything else, the World Motorsport Council. We'll make you guys make your own rules. We'll let you make your own rules and this and that. No, that's not what they should be doing. I think that what they should be doing is focusing, because they are the rule-making body, they should be focusing on their core product, their core business, so to speak. Yeah, which is to make the rules and to be as good as they can be at doing that. Right. I would be willing to even take it one step further and say, listen, the FIA, because it's not accountable to any particular government or any particular body other than themselves, mm-hmm. right? And their decisions affect things like Formula One.
Yeah,
they should be striving to be. Listen, if they're the rule making body of what's supposed to be the most technologically advanced sport on the planet,
yeah,
and the most fast moving, the fastest moving sport on the planet, the most evolving, crazy thing like that, they should make laws, or they should at least make a framework to legislate that can keep up with that.
Right.
And this is honestly, I was thinking about this. What the FIA should be doing right now is not focusing on making these stupid little changes, but actually focusing on changing and reforming and speeding up the ways that changes can be made. Exactly going back to what you said. Yes, if something needs to be tried out, there should be the framework. There should be an existing framework
right.
of laws and procedures that facilitate that to happen. Not to have 20 million meetings in Geneva and
right.
wasting seriously money and time. and people's patience and just waiting on these big announcements. But they should be focusing on making a set of procedures and putting a number of things in place so that whenever rapid change is needed, rapid change can happen. Whenever long-term thinking needs to happen and that needs to rule, for that to happen, not just thinking of the next election, not just thinking of next year. Some people think right now in F1, when they talk about the long term, they're talking about 5 races ahead. They're not talking about 5 years or 10 years, which should be long term.
Well, most of them won't be alive, right?
Well, I mean, some of them won't be alive, but that doesn't mean that the sport won't be there, and that's crucial.
Yeah,
that is part of what got us into this problem. At least that's what short-term thinking that needs to change.
Yeah,
that definitely needs to change. The way that the FIA is allowing for rules to be made, and the way that the rule making process and the legislating process happens within the FIA. It's evident to me right now that is one of the things that's holding F1 back right now. On one side.
It's as far as I'm concerned, F1 seems to be one of the greasiest sports out there, and in the sense of there's just so many. I scratch your back, you scratch my back.
Oh yeah,
it's everywhere. It's kind of crazy, and so I'm a big hockey fan.
Yeah.
My favorite team is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're in this big rebuild. Mm-hmm. And so before this big rebuild, it was a lot of Band-Aid situation type of shit, like this Formula One stuff is. And so I think ownership changed hands, and then the guy was just I'm going to fire everyone. And he did.
Yeah.
He got rid of he gutted the whole system, brought in new people. It was I think this guy. He didn't say think. He's I know this guy will do what's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what needs to happen. But it seems that,
Yeah.
There's a lot of friends in Formula One. That's not gonna happen.
Gray-haired guys in suits trying to like keep their jobs. That's what happened. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's obviously that's nothing radical that like what needs to happen is gonna happen unless they are either gone or face extinction.
Yeah.
Right. Because if one thing these rats at high level are is survivors. They will. And in the end, if the only alternative is to do the right thing, they will do the right thing, which is what a lot of people maybe forget. These people will eventually do the right thing if that's the only possible outcome.
Yeah.
Like if that's the only answer. But problem number one that I see is the FIA is over here with their hands tied behind their back because they chose to, but also because they haven't looked inward enough. Jean Todt is busy elsewhere in the world trying to be a UN ambassador for road safety, like focusing on pure politicking, and not focusing on legislating, not focusing on making sure. Just make sure that your body of making laws is gonna be the most up to date in the world, and like why not have something like as bizarre concept as it might sound, but open source legislation applied, like the same way that there's open source software out there, in a way, like just have something like that, like port some of the models, like have people, because in something like F1 you don't need just people that are good at writing law and like writing law speak and law terms. You also need technical people that understand the repercussions of some of these laws, and the collaboration of between them is easy. It becomes really, really easy on something like the open source format. Anyway, that's just honestly, like, they could be doing a lot better job at that.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you have the the commercial rights holder.
Yeah. Oh, that whole fucking thing.
Bernie on the other side, or not. Let's not call it Bernie. Let's call it the FOM. So you have Formula One management on the other side. That's also the problem. Not focusing on doing what they should, what they're supposed to be doing. Bernie's out there playing politics, trying to dominate the sport, trying to regain some sort of perceived or real control of the sport that he thought he lost, or at one point he had this or that, instead of actually focusing on making the real change where he actually can, where he actually has full control. Let's not forget, there is an area of Formula One that Bernie still has full 100% unmitigated control of, and it's the delivery of the content that is Formula One. If Bernie was spending half the energy that he's spending going to Geneva and talking to these other pricks into actually looking at his own business and figuring out what is the best way to get the F1 content that we have out to the fans, if that was his priority, other than just dicking around in back rooms and making these handshake deals, if that's what he really wanted to do, I'm sure he'd get it done, and I'm sure it would be to the benefit of most fans and all the fans around the world. And it would get, if you focus your energies on just taking that content that F1 is and disseminating it as much as possible, which should really be the mission of Formula One management, then you'd have the added benefit of everything that comes with it. More fans means more viewership. It means better advertising, like more impressions. But it's just, everything would be better. Everything would be better if these two organizations, these two institutions, worked on doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'd say.
Nah, that sounds very reasonable, man.
Instead of playing why? What is the need, man? What is the need of these people hitting the age of 60 and thinking that the only thing that they can do, the only thing that they are good at, is being politicians? I don't have a clue.
You know what it is? I think at that point in their lives, it's like, well, I'm gonna die kind of soon. like sooner than probably later, I better hold on to as much power as I can because it's going.
It's sick though.
It's fucking sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And the thing is that you can't blame it because a lot of these guys, and they're untouchable in some circles because they, in a way, are responsible for what we have today. And you definitely don't want to make the mistake of coming across as being ungrateful. Because that will lose you, like that will lose you a lot of friends in high places if you're not grateful for what it is. But you have to fucking look at what's going on too. Like you can, there is a balance there to be like, there is a balance there to be found for sure.
Absolutely.
But like one thing doesn't even go hand in hand with the other. The fact is that they are messing up right now, and that's undeniable.
Undeniable.
We're
having some trickery with our stream.
Something's going.
It's just going in and out.
Oh. Well, we hope that this is not affecting our viewers.
Yeah.
if it is, you feel free to tune out and then watch the replay later.
Tune in, tune out, drop in, drop. What's that famous line?
I forget. Looking forward though. I mean, we have a couple other things that came out from the weekend, not necessarily related to F1. One of them, if you go to the bottom of the pages, has to do with this Red Bull Association now with Aston Martin.
Ooh.
Now this was, you can put this right on. But this was announced during the race weekend that Aston Martin now is interested, and they finally put. Actually, if you look at the nose cone of the Red Bull car for the Australian Grand Prix, they had a little bit of a logo for Aston Martin there all weekend. Like it was there, you couldn't see it. Like it wasn't like very prominent, but it was there. It was on the nose cone, like maybe this big.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is not their F1 car, but
it should be. Oh my god.
So what they want to do, or rumors of are that what Aston Martin is looking, or one of the things that they're looking to get out of this partnership with Red Bull is to basically borrow Adrian Newey. We've heard about Adrian Newey. Adrian Newey was the Red Bull designer, the aerodynamics designer that just really he was almost single-handedly responsible for all of Red Bull's triumphs. The 4 championships that they won with Sebastian Vettel was because he designed a car back in the V8 days that was just aerodynamically so far ahead of everybody else that it was hard to catch. Like Sebastian Vettel, if you thought that what happened at the race today with the start was crazy, back in those days, back like 2013, 2012, 2011, like what used to happen is Vettel, if he didn't already qualify on pole, if he was like even 2 or 3 positions at the back, he'd just like go, and within one lap, he'd be like a few seconds ahead. And by half race distance, he'd be like 20, 30 seconds ahead.
No fucking way.
Because that's how intense the Red Bull cars were. So since then, and since they introduced this new engine formula, that has really shifted the focus so much from like away from the aerodynamics and more into the engines. The Red Bull's still a strong car, even though they don't have a strong engine. You got to remember that. That's just how far ahead they are in terms of aerodynamics. And the main person responsible for that is Adrian Newey. Now, Adrian Newey clearly is going to be instrumental in this partnership.
Yeah, absolutely.
With and this right now, what you see on the screen, this is a model that he did for Gran Turismo.
Oh, cool.
Right? Yeah. So this was it has the logo here.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, but he basically designed this car to be like kind of as if he was this, like they basically said, like if you had to design an F1 car and were given free reign, like no stupid regulations not telling you what you can or cannot do, like what would you come up? And it looks something like this.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it looks intense, right?
God.
Here, the one below is an actual model, I think, that they built of it. Like, if it was ever gonna like be made into reality, that's sort of what it would look like.
Look at this thing.
IRL. Right? Yeah.
Oops.
Right, so it looks badass. And for our listeners, what we're showing right now is the sketches and now the model that they actually put together for that Gran Turismo. I think it was called like X2012 or something. Whatever, the car that Adrian Newey designed for Gran Turismo. Now, just thinking of this, now what Aston Martin want to do with Red Bull, and specifically by saying Red Bull, really mean Adrian Newey, is to make their next generation of hypercar. Now, Aston Martin is a good, like they sell expensive cars, obviously. They're nice, they're the Bond cars or whatever. But they've never made like really like a hypercar in the same way that Ferrari does or Lamborghini, right? Like they have like
really high end cars,
ridiculously expensive and just ridiculous in the way they look, ridiculous in the acceleration that they pull. Yeah, those kind of cars were usually reserved for the Ferraris, the Bugattis, right? Lamborghini and even Mercedes actually can have some hypercars. But anyway, so now Aston Martin, I guess, wants to like jump in that game, but jumping hard with Adrian Newey, basically designing. I'm not saying it's going to be something like this, but what they've come out to say is that whatever car they come up with is going to be faster than an F1 car. So they will actually want to design a road-going car. This is huge. So they want to basically give Adrian Newey enough reign to design a road-going car that's going to be faster than an F1 car.
That's kind of insane.
If it's going to be that, if it's going to be something that's going to be faster than an F1 car, and that's going to have to meet the minimum legal requirements to be a road car, it's going to end up looking something like this. Yeah. With headlights, so, that's just to satisfy legislation and a canopy in a cockpit, whatever. But it wouldn't be.
You also need to drive it on the flattest road on the planet.
Well, right, yeah, it would be. No, it would have to be a little bit raised, but and this bumper would have to have a minimum number of like collisions or whatever. Like it has to be able to crash at speed. But still, if they come up even with something similar to this, that's gonna go faster than an F1 car. I mean, okay, so in terms of top speed, the Bugatti Veyron is already faster than an F1 car down a straight line if the F1 car has all the front wings on. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to make that comparison between road car and an F1 car, but I think that what they're going for is they're going to make a road-going car, or at least a track-going car that's going to be quicker than an F1 car, even around a track, even around corners. Wow. And if they're going to do that, it's going to have to look something like this. So I know that this is strictly not F1 news, but if this happens, like I really can't wait to see the crazy car that they come up with. And granted, Aston Martin doesn't have the kind of money that you need to actually be a big sponsor in F1 these days in a big way. Mm-hmm. But if they can sort out this kind of partnerships, that's going to be a boost for both the Aston Martin name as well as the Red Bull name. So I think like there's definitely something like that to do, and maybe teams the size of Red Bull and below, like this is the kind of sponsorship and technical partnerships that they're going to start to want to go out there and get. Right. If absolutely. Yeah. If you're not bringing in big money in terms of advertising, like what else can you bring in? What else can we do? We have these people sitting here a few months out of the year not doing anything. Can we do something? Yeah. Like can we get something done? Some achievement.
Our stream's like really not good.
Oh damn. Yeah, I do see that. Guys, our stream is not doing well either way. We are nearing the end of the show at this point. Mike, do you have any other closing remarks regarding Australia or anything like that?
No, excited for Bahrain, and just think to don't forget about the contest.
Well, absolutely, yes. So obviously Dan wasn't here. The regular listeners and viewers of our podcast would have noticed his absence, obviously. But we usually have, if you're new, we usually have a number 3 here. He's somewhere in the Caribbean right now, playing with dolphins or something.
Yeah.
Whatever you do. He'll be back next week, and next week we'll also have a really nice treat for you all.
A really cool guest.
Yeah, we're gonna have a really cool guest on the show next time around. So stay tuned for that. For now, let's again go through the contest real quick for the people that just tuned in, or if you're tuning in right now, we do have a contest going on right now where we're giving away passes for
the Montreal Grand Prix, Canadian Grand Prix
in Montreal.
I keep on wanting to call it Montreal Grand Prix.
It is basically.
So what it is, guys, is to enter, you have to be subscribed on YouTube and to our Twitter.
Yes.
That is sort of the first thing. And what you have to do is create something of your own design based around the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal.
Yeah.
It can be some sort of art. It could be music. It can be anything. You can call us in, make a T-shirt. Anything that you want.
Write something to us.
A poem, I don't know, a blog, a music video, of anything. It's got to be original too. You just can't steal a bunch of shit from other people.
Well, we have and we have to be able to show it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can explain. I mean, so don't be sending no.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy with it. Not too crazy. Definitely go crazy. Not too crazy. But yeah, so we're gonna be collecting entries for the next month and a bit. So start sending your stuff. If your stuff needs some time, if you need some time to work on, don't worry. You still have about 5 or 6 weeks ahead. It's a really cool contest. We're giving away 2 tickets for the whole weekend, general admission. So if you've never been to a Grand Prix and you've been wondering what it's like, honestly, it's totally worth it. We're putting you one step ahead there, and we're going to be announcing the winners the first week of May, so you have enough time to arrange your own accommodation and transportation and all that. But other than that, so you can send us your entries via email at contest@flatout.fever.com. Again, that's contest@flatout.fever.com. We're on Twitter @FlatOutFever. We're on Reddit. Our Reddit username is FlatOutFever. You can even Skype us in if you have a really cool story and you just want to tell us live and just let us know. We are on Skype. You can look us up FlatOutFever, and yeah, that's it. Or if you want to just send us a video that you put up on YouTube, our YouTube channel is youtube.com/FlatOutFever podcast.
It's all there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah. Again, with a full staff. Full staff next
full
week.
Staff. All right. See you guys.
Cheers.